Okay, it's time for another painting video. Are you super excited? So we're going to do Christmas lights because this whole month of December I'm going to do Christmas theme paintings that you will be able to enjoy in time-lapse format, of course. So you can get a good idea of painting freestyle, which is basically all that means is you didn't do a preliminary drawing. What I do is I first do initial color washes like I'm doing now. Most of this, because it's a 6x8 size, I was able to kind of put in one area, dry a little as I come back to another area and work it a little bit more. But what I basically do when I'm doing color washes is I really pay attention to color theory. I don't even really worry that much about values at this point. And what that is basically think of the rainbow. It's pretty. When you remember that, it's kind of easier. So your blues can touch your reds, which will make mauves or purple. Your reds can touch your yellows, which is going to make more stronger oranges. Your yellows can touch your blues, of course, because they're going to bring your secondary greens out. And you just don't want to cross too much over those because then you get mud. So as long as you stay away from that as it's gradually absorbing into the paper, as it's kind of a little sneak peek here at the end, so you know where we're going. As long as you keep this in mind as you're working it. Now again, with the freestyle, I have no preliminary drawing. So what I'm also doing is I'm looking for the objects to come out to me, but I'm concentrating on keeping them within a golden ratio. So the easiest way to remember any kind of golden ratio pattern, if you will, is to do 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. So you have a 1/3 horizontal line down at the bottom, you have a 1/3 horizontal line up at the top part, you have a 1/3 vertical line, if you will, to the right or to the left side. So you get to decide where are the 1/3 that you're using, because obviously you don't really want to use and emphasize all of them. Just like we have a tendency to, as human beings, we have a tendency to repeat a pattern. So the challenge when you're doing freestyle is to not repeat a pattern, and the challenge that you have when doing freestyle is to have quiet space, a cooler space, warmer spaces, but not have it be too busy of a story, if you will. And because you didn't do a preliminary sketch, in a way, your painting in itself is its sketch, okay? It makes it very exciting. And what's so exciting about freestyle and why I like it so much is not even I know what I'm going to get. Not even I have a preconceived idea of how it's going to come out. You'll see when I'm working this, you'll kind of see where there's sometimes when I kind of, even though I have it sped up, where I stop and I pause because I realize, how dark should I go here? And if I want the eye to come down this way, I feel like, am I getting colors muddied right here where I definitely don't want them too muddied, but as long as they stay cool in color, which is like your blues, and as long as they stay cool in color, am I still keeping the composition right? And it's not really you don't want to overthink it, right? Because this is the painting that I'm always talking about that artists kind of lose, which is being a kid again. This is, you want to paint like you did when you were little, which is like when you do in your fingers, you didn't really necessarily have, when you're painting with your fingers, this preconceived idea of how your piece is going to come out. You were so into blending the colors and pushing things together on the page or making a smiley face, or, it brings back the excitement into art where you don't even know as the artist exactly what you're going to get out. You know where you're going with it. Like I knew, okay, I'm going to do some Christmas lights. I already did a little small initial Christmas light, which is the very first picture I showed. I think it's like a 3" by 2" or slightly less than 2" by 3" at the very beginning of the video. It's like this super little mini kind of dollhouse art. And I was like, oh, you know what? I actually had felt bad because I felt like, oh, I should have recorded that. But these are easy. This one's easier to see because it's so large. It's really not that large, but it's bigger than a tiny little 2 by 3. So, and I also this time, again, I keep panning out so you can see what I'm using. I'm not using extremely expensive paints, although I do have the ones in tubes. So those are, I do have some on my palette right there that came out of a tube. But you can use the brands that you can get that are just come in this full array of rainbow color, and that can kind of, I mean, honestly, I don't use a lot of those colors. I did get this palette because I like to mix my colors. I like to use my primaries and use those to get what I want. And with that palette, the thing I did like about this palette that I bought, and the reason why I did, is because they have on it, I'll see if it'll show you here. Okay, I don't know if you can actually see it. Closest to the painting, there's a row right there of about 4-5 colors where they're actually illuminating. They're I don't want to say glitter. It's not really glitter. It's kind of, but when you see it in the light, you definitely have a sheen. And where the colors aren't, or for anything I can't blend in to maybe a color I made myself, I have my, and I put it there so you can see it, my Iridescent Medium. Now the Iridescent Medium really is pretty much for acrylic, but I purchased it thinking, I went on this thing where if you've seen my previous video, you know what about the number one secret that artists know, but they always forget about art. And so I did a video because I've been dying to do a video about that. I keep thinking, that's just going to be that would be such a good video, because even I continually forget to remind myself of that. And it affected me for so many years of me being a creator, that I'm like, maybe there's people who don't know, like, and did forget. And so anyway, just there's going to be a link below in this video to that video, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to, that video's coming out first. And if not, just you can go to my channel, look for it. Oh my gosh. Okay, before I forget, if you like these kind of videos, my channel is all about art and garden. My name's Artettina, if you're not familiar with me. And if you are totally into art and gardening tips and plants and just really homey stuff like that, I also do oil paintings. I do charcoals and pastels. I will have more of those consistently coming. And I'm shooting for every Friday at 6:45, but I think you can hit the bell button, and I'm not sure if it works still, but you could try it. And if you do have questions about the freestyle painting, or you have questions about plants, I mean, I'm learning with the plants, but hey, we're all going to learn together in growing food indoors, if you will. Please subscribe, and always remember, like the video. It really, really helps me out. Again, do the bell if you really love this stuff and you want to see more. And yeah, so I really hope that you'll decide to join us in our little YouTube family going on there. You'll also find some other links down below to other places if you really want other ways to help me out. And on my banner on the YouTube channel, that should still be linking to my store. So there's a link on the banner to go right to the store, where you may still find some of these depending on when you find the video. So anyway, so one of the key things when I am doing a freestyle painting, and when I'm working on doing any kind of illumination, and I hope you can kind of see what I'm talking about when I'm talking about it, because it is sort of hard to verbally describe, but you can, if you're like me, visually get it. So when you're doing like light bulbs or anything glowing, they could be mushrooms glowing, they could be anything glowing, you're going to have the lightest color in the bulb or the light source. You're going to have a medium color, and then you usually have a little bit of a darker color where the light might, in this case, the light's not getting as much through the glass as when it hits the glass edge or the middle of the glass. So again, you have a light color of your lightest part, like the brightest part of the sun, for example. You have the medium color, and then you have the darkest color. When you do the reflection on anything, pick the medium color, not the brightest, not the darkest. In general, you want the medium color, and it will automatically begin to look like, as you kind of can see here, as I'm trying to spread the colors around to get the glow effect. If you stick to that, it'll look like it's glowing. Okay, but because if you did it too dark, it would look toned down, and it would just look kind of funny to your eye, and you wouldn't know why. If you did it too light, you can get away with that a little bit, but generally, again, it's not going to look right to your eye, because you're going to like, well, here's a red light, but it's reflecting white. Why is that happening? You know what I mean? Your brain's going to know something doesn't quite look right. So the trick is the middle color. I hope that makes sense. So for instance, I was doing a purple light bulb. I wanted a purple light bulb with all these little light bulbs. But you could see where my composition was getting a little tight. Like I already did, my little miniature one is about, the whole theme of my little miniature one where they're all clumped together was, you know, that Christmas when you just didn't want to untangle your lights, you know, get it, you threw them into the Christmas tree. That's what that one's theme is, but this one wasn't. I wanted a little bit the light bulbs to be further apart. So that's when I realized, or not so clumped, right? So that's when I realized that the purple light, that initially was a light, that's why it's throwing off a purple light source, I decided to change that into an ornament. Again, this is one of those things where this is the fun of freestyle. This is the fun of, you don't know exactly what you're going to get, but you have an idea where you want to go with it. You know where your basic composition is. So the light behind the red and orange light bulb that's coming through the branches a little bit back there is basically, and that red, and that bright red, because the reds generally mean it's a color that's closer to you, that that right there is my main focused 1/3. Now, down along the bottom, I actually, it's off kilt. It's not exactly in the spot where you generally want it. This green light bulb was coming out, and I love this green light bulb so much that I was kind of like, it's not exactly in the right spot technically, I don't think, but it works. And green's fine because green's not as warm of a, I was hoping that your eye would still come through the painting the direction that I wanted it to. And so these are things that I slowly work on and I slowly pick out. Again, because the colors are all these warm colors, just like in a Christmas tree. I kept the branches and behind the branches, except for where the light hits, blue and cool. So keep them cool, push them back. Like if you really look at things that are lit up in the dark, they just get darker and they're, I hope I'm explaining this correctly, and further away. And so there are some things in here where I was just kind of like working with them. And there's always, it really seems like, so just so you know, you're not the only one. In every painting I do, especially freestyle, where there's no preliminary drawing, there's always this stage of, what have I done? There's always this little stage where it's like, did I just mess this up? This isn't like exactly what I want to do. And then sometimes I think I'm just going to abandon the project, right? But because I like sell everything I make, like even stuff where I'm like, okay, that didn't go where I wanted it to go, that was just kind of an experiment, I'll still put it up online for people to buy. And so I just believe in that. I believe that things resonate with people, and you just don't know, and I don't want to hold from people something that they might really enjoy and that resonates with them. So to me, I just, the whole objective that I try and keep in mind when I'm creating something isn't now to tangle myself up in an idea. It's to do it as beautifully as I possibly can do it. The object is just to make something beautiful and to share it with people. Thank you so much for joining me. Thumbs up, subscribe. See you later, guys.